accidents, big rig truck accidents, cruise ship cases, maritime law. But I have a strong background in criminal defense and appellate law, as well as civil rights, police shootings, tight handcuff cases, and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys can hear me. The other day we had some audio issues. I'm headed to the gym, and so I like to do this on the weekends to try to kill two birds with one stone, because I get so many requests from people who are like, man, Mike, I really liked your show last time, but can you cover plea bargains, or can you cover this latest Supreme Court case that just went down? And I get just overwhelmed with requests from my subscribers on my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to try to cover some stuff and I'll take a different route today as well, just for fun. I'm going to try to cover some stuff that a lot of you guys have been hitting me up about because of what's going on with the Lane Myers case. And so I said, okay, let's do it. And so the issue that we're going to talk about today is, what's the deal with these plea bargains? What is a plea bargain, and how is it going to affect my loved one or myself if I enter into a plea agreement? So what is it? How do they come about usually? What are the benefits? What are the negative aspects of them? And of course, you guys know I don't think there's ever much of a positive benefit to pleading out, at least in the early stages of a case. But we'll get into it. So today I'm going to go and take a quick trip to the gym, try to do a light leg workout since my back is jacked up. It's anything that's not putting compression on the spine. And we will see where this goes. We'll see if I can make it. But in the interim, what we're going to talk about is I'm going to give you some examples. So many of you probably remember a while back, Chili DeCastro from Delete Laws got falsely arrested over a bunk charge, and ultimately he was convicted by a judge who I believe he's trying to sue right now, and he was stuck in jail, and he got his case reversed on appeal. So I was thinking to myself, what would have happened if he was incarcerated pending his trial, and how would have that potentially worked out for him? Okay, so first of all, just really quickly, and then we'll talk about Lane Myers too, and the differences between Chili's case and Lane Myers' case. But a plea bargain is essentially a deal that you enter into with a prosecutor, typically for a reduced sentence in exchange for you agreeing to be convicted. And then you sign a waiver with the judge. The judge will ask you, are you knowingly and voluntarily entering into this plea agreement? Give me some 5x5s that you guys can hear me. Katrinka, I don't know about Scottsdale. I know that Lane Myers' case is in Pima County. I'm driving in Summerlin, Nevada right now. And so anyways, hopefully you can hear me. So Chili, his situation was a little bit different. He was, I'm sure they did offer him a plea deal, but the difference between Chili and, say, Lane Myers is that Chili wasn't incarcerated pending his trial. Like he was able to show up for court, and ultimately, he got the judge upset, whatever, and he was convicted, and he got his case reversed on appeal. But how would it have been if Chili had been incarcerated? Like, let's say that the prosecutor got the judge to agree that, hey, Chili's dangerous, he told his followers to petition the government for redress, and now these government officials are scared, and therefore he's guilty of harassment, and we need to do a protective order against him and get him locked up, because that's the only way we can prevent him from potentially causing harm to one of our fellow public servants who fleece the taxpayer, right? So in that case, what would Chili's options have been? Well, his options would have been that he would have to Stay in jail. Good, Lonely fans. His options would have been that he would have to stay locked up in jail pending his trial. And then, of course, that whole time his defense lawyer would be pushing him to enter into a plea deal so he can get out of the case, because his lawyer probably doesn't want to go to trial, because defense lawyers make their money off their volume. And if they're forced to go to trial, they got to get more money out of their client, and usually the client won't pay them. And they won't be able to sign up new cases and plea out those other cases. See, remember, they work on the margin that 95% of cases in criminal law plea out. 95% of criminal cases result in a plea bargain. And prosecutors know that. And then they'll use that plea bargain to say, look, we're so good, we got a conviction, now you need to make me a judge, or you need to let me run for governor because I'm such a great prosecutor. Even if they use what would amount to criminal extortion if you were the mafia, if a prosecutor does it, it's not extortion. It's considered just the way you run business. And so in a case like that, in a case like Chili's, I wonder, would Chili have given in to the pressure if he had been forced to stay in jail pending his trial? Would the outcome have been different? And because I know that anyone can break. In prison, whether you want to believe it or not, jail especially, is nothing more than a form of light torture for someone who's innocent. Obviously, you're not supposed to be there. Just because a judge or a prosecutor says you're supposed to be there, if you're innocent, that's torture. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree that that's just a form of torture. And we know that there have been many cases where corrupt officials have gotten people locked up because they have the power to do so. And since judges and prosecutors have such strong immunity, good luck trying to sue them. Typically, the only way justice can be received is if the feds get involved, like they did in the Rampart cases back when I first started practicing law. And that's a rare situation. And typically their solutions are even worse. Like they'll bring in some DEI hire chief of police who's totally incompetent to run the police department and run it into the ground even more. So, I mean, their solutions are usually just as bad as the original problem. That's the other problem with the government, right? The only man for the job is someone who doesn't work for the government, because government employees are typically the most lazy and shiftless people on the planet. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree that when you're spending someone else's money, it doesn't matter to you as much as if it was your own. It's just called human nature. So what ultimately happens is 95% of people who are in jail, let's say like Elaine Myers case, let's say that the prosecutor's husband or the victim's husband is a prosecutor and doesn't like Lane. So the prosecutor, the husband of the victim, who's friends with the county prosecutor, cuts a deal. Hey man, I'll make sure to help you with your next political campaign when you're running for judge or when you're running for mayor. But I really need you to lock this dude up who's harassing my wife, who's also a government employee. We're all part of the same club. We're all policing the taxpayer and using the tax dollars to further our own careers at the expense of anyone else who gets in our way. So you help me, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So just hypothetical, let's say that happens, and so they decide we'll just lock up Lane Myers. He's already outspoken and loud and obnoxious, so nobody's going to care. No jury's going to find in his favor because he doesn't know how to control his temper. So let's just go ahead and lock this guy up. Nothing's going to happen to us. And if we can keep him in jail long enough, we can probably get him to agree to convict himself. Because like torture, he doesn't want to be there. You guys following me so far the way this works? Now the difference is with Chili's case, so Chili was already convicted. So it's not like he had a choice to enter into a plea bargain. You see what I'm saying? He was all in for that appeal. So, and only he knows, and only he would know based on the pressure that he's under. But, I wonder, what would have happened if Chili had been confined awaiting trial? Would he have pled out? I mean, you tell me in the comments. Do you think he would have pled out? I mean, 95% of cases do. So, and I'm not saying anything. Chili's my buddy. I love guy. I'm just saying, it's easy to be an armchair general, and for you guys, because if he would have, would you have said Chili caved? Chili Cave, he's no longer, he's no longer our hero because he pled out, he gave in, right? All you armchair generals who have never been to jail, who've never been beat up by a prison guard, who have never had other convicts set upon you by the prosecutor or by the prison guards, had other convicts set upon you by the people who run the prison, right? Because they have that kind of power. Corrupt officials do it all the time. You ever seen Cool Hand Luke? Just think about it. Just think about it. Don't assume that these people are just innocent, honest government employees. There's scumbags everywhere, guys. So I just wonder, if the situation had been reversed and he had pled out, would you have unsubscribed to him? Would you have ignored him and said that he caved to the system? I think that a lot of you probably would have, unfortunately, because the mob is fickle. So a plea bargain basically gives the prosecutor the ability, if they can find a way to incarcerate you pending trial, to use that leverage to get their conviction while you're being denied the use of a law library, if you're pro se, while you're being denied the right to see your dogs, your wife, your kids, for example. So of course you're locked up every day that you're in there with all these psychopaths and mental patients who should be in a mental institution, probably not. And look, they mix the violent criminals with the non-violent. I mean, it's a freak show. It is one of the most dangerous. Look, county jail, in my opinion, is far more dangerous than state prison. Having been a criminal defense attorney for many years and having had to visit people in prisons and county jail is the worst of the worst. So just imagine what Lane Myers is going through, right? So I don't know what's going to happen with his case, but he doesn't have the benefit of having been convicted prior to being thrown in jail. He has the option of pleading out if he wants to, and he may be in fear for his life. He's already been beat up by a prison guard, according to him. So, or a jailer, a corrections officer. So what do you guys think? What is your opinion? Do you think, because, and let me ask you this, if for some reason he decided that it was in his best interest for his health and his safety and for his wife and his family dogs, if he did decide to enter into some kind of a deal, would you turn your back on him and say that he caved? Because I know a lot of these guys, these so-called frauditor guys, and these people who are just out for blood because they just want to see people go to jail, even if it's not legal or lawful, just so they can say, look, I didn't like that guy and he got jailed or arrested. That's what these guys are all about, right? They're scum. So would you be like those guys and turn your back on him? Or would you try and make a difference? And that brings me to my next question, because I don't know what he's going to do. Hey, Sinful Toaster, good seeing you, buddy. I don't know what he's going to do, but I fear for the guy. And I wonder, are you guys going to double down and support him if he makes a decision that goes against what he doesn't believe in order to protect his life and his safety and his family? I wonder if you guys will stick around, or I wonder if you guys will turn your back on him, because the mob is fickle. And so that brings me to the next thing. A lot of you guys hate cops, you hate corrections officers, you hate government employees. You say both parties are the same, it's a uniparty system, but you never have any solutions. You never have any solutions, and that's what bothers me about a lot of you guys, even guys who are subscribers to my channel. That's where I draw the line. I still love you guys, and I want to work with you and support you, because I want to be here as a beacon of hope, as a lawyer who actually understands the corruptness in the system and wants to make change. So I had a choice when I was falsely arrested back in, 2006, I think it was? Oh, wait, no, 1996. Yeah, back in 1996, I had a choice. I could have just kept on, being a salesperson and having a construction company. All right, but I said, you know what? I'm going to make an effort to change the system from within. I'm going to try and change the system from within. I'm not going to become a parasite. I'm not going to become a loser and just complain with no solutions. I'm going to try to change things. And so I became a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad at all. And I did it. I slept on park benches. And now I hear people like you guys whining and complaining, saying, oh, he's a member of the bar, he's one of them, he's this, he's that. You talk about British Accreditation Registry, which is ridiculous. They have nothing to do with the bar. You guys just don't know what you're talking about because you've been brainwashed yourselves. But so I have to deal with all the insults and put downs. Well, I'm a guy who has invested an enormous amount of my time, pro bono work, getting people out of prison, doing habeas work, doing appellate work, and then I got to deal with your bullshit where you try and accuse me of being, part of Big Brother or whatever. So when you do try to make change, guys like a lot of you guys will turn your back on me. And yeah, I've got to make a living, but doing these shows isn't free for me. It costs me thousands of dollars to make these videos when I could be working on cases. So at least I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone today, driving to the gym. But the bottom line is, if you really want to change the system, why don't you try to run for sheriff? Why don't you become a lawyer with no law degree, like I did, and put your money where your mouth is? Why don't you run for prosecutor? Why don't you try to become a court commissioner? Why don't you do what the Marxists did? Look, think about this. The KGB had back when the Soviet Union was in power. There's videos about this. There's a KGB agent who did a video about this. You can watch it. It's on YouTube. Forgot his name. The KGB realized that they could infiltrate our government through the college system. And so the KGB started paying off college professors, started funding colleges, and lo and behold, our whole public school system is basically run by anti-American communists. And what ended up happening is the communist Chinese took over that mantle. They took over that torch from the KGB. It's General Charlie Tree started bringing in cash loads, suitcases full of cash to the Clinton family, to Bill and Hillary, started funding the Democrat Party. And now you see it. I mean, the Democrat Party is basically a bunch of communists now. And the communist Chinese were able to infiltrate our government and change our government from within. And if they were able to do it, why can't, like, red-blooded Americans do the same thing? Why can't you red-blooded Americans change the system from within? You're already here, and you don't need to be funded. You're not money-driven. You're ideologically driven. You see the difference? You're ideologically driven people. If I could become a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad, and now have some credibility and be able to make these shows, and come live and make these shows for you on my own time, why can't you do the same thing? Why can't you guys do the same thing that I'm doing? Why can't you put your money where your mouth is? And I'm not saying that you need to become a lawyer, but why don't you run for office? Why don't you run for school board and kick out all these pedos who have taken over our school system? Replace the rainbow flag, blue-haired mafia with red-blooded Americans who love their country. Why don't you fight to become part of the local government so you can get money set aside for parents who want to homeschool their kids? Why don't you run for government so we can stop having your property taxes go to these Marxist factories, these propaganda factories we call public schools? Why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Lane Myers and Chili DeCastro are the only, I mean, there's a few more, there's Reluctant Prophet, but there's not a whole lot of guys who are willing to risk their reputations and risk jail for what they believe in. It's easy for you to sit there like armchair patriots and accuse other people of not doing what you're not doing. And so I'm just asking you, what do you guys say? Why don't, hey, I get it, Sinful Toaster. I slept on park benches, brother, in order to become a lawyer with no law degree. I worked for free. I did whatever I had to do because I wanted to make a difference. And that's why I'm able to be here today for you. And I've recovered over $300 million for my clients as a personal injury attorney. And I've been able to use a substantial amount of that money to lobby on behalf of veterans. I helped draft the Cruise Ship Safety Act. I've lobbied Congress. And I did all that just on a hope and a prayer, because what the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. So that's all I wanted to do, is just let you know, like, I know Lane's not a religious guy, but I'd like it if you guys would pray for him and ask that the Holy Spirit, watch over Lane and his family, and that you think about what would you do if you were him? I mean, I'm shocked that he hasn't already pled out. As strong as he is and as good of a dude as he is, I'm shocked that he hasn't already pled out. What do you guys think? And if he does, are you going to turn your back on him? Because I know I'm not going to. And I'm going to encourage you guys, and I'll help you support your political campaigns, run for school board, run for mayor, run for city council. Just do it. If you really want to change the system, instead of complaining about the system, do what the Communist Chinese Party was able to do with the Democrats. Infiltrate the political system like the communists did in order to take over the Democrat Party in this country and reclaim your country as a constitutional republic. Anyways, that's all I got to say, and I'm with you, Lenny. I'm going to go hit the gym. Hopefully I wasn't too harsh on you because I love all you guys. Hey, Chevy, good seeing you. Chevy, I was just talking about how instead of complaining about the system and lawyers and how terrible I am because I'm a member of the bar, if you guys want to change the system, get involved, get active, and do what the Chinese Communist Party was able to do with our public schools, with our universities, how they infiltrated the Democrat Party and turned it into a far-left communist, anti-American political party, and do what's right, reclaim this country for the American people. And that's what I was telling him, Chevy. Give me a bunch of ones for Chevy, guys. Chevy is a good buddy of mine. He's been a monetary donor. He's helped me financially to be able to support the channel. Because I can make money as a lawyer, and I do, but running this channel is not free. So anytime I see Chevy, I always give him recognition. Make sure to buy memberships. Pick up a copy of my ebook on how to become a lawyer with no law degree or undergrad. If you want to change the system, get involved, get active. I'm a libertarian. I don't support either political party. But if I had to run as a Republican in order to make change, I certainly would. I wouldn't run as a pedocrat because I don't support the concept of drag queens hanging out with little kindergartners and all that weird shit that they're trying to do to our children. Unfortunately. Hey, thanks, Chevy. And buy memberships. I mean, Chevy just bought 5 memberships. And what that's going to do now is that's going to be sent out to other people who algorithmically may be ideologically inclined to support Team MPE. And that's what I want to see. And Greg B, thank you. Hey, look, Greg B got a membership. Texas Farm Life got a membership. Rune Dragon, Sinful Toaster. Yeah, man. You know, you guys like Chevy, that's what it's all about. And thanks, Gloria. Gloria says she's with my thinking. And look, I'm not doing anything different than our founding fathers did. Only less than 3% of the American people participated in the Revolutionary War against the king, against centralized control over our thoughts and our livelihoods. Less than 3% actually took part in the actual physical resistance. So it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much for you guys to get involved, get active, and take over the political system. I don't understand why there aren't already recall elections against these public officials in Arizona who have made Lane Myers, Mr. Gold, and Reluctant Prophets' lives so miserable. I mean, if you guys really are all about changing things, tuning into YouTube is great, but why don't you get active and do stuff? I mean, I'll come out to your rallies and support you. Guys like Chevy and I will support you financially. And so, and the founding fathers, actually, Sinful Toaster, the founding fathers revolted over the king's attempt to seize our powder houses. That's what they teach you in the leftist-run public schools, that it was about this Tea Party. No, the King of England tried to seize our firearms, our gunpowder, and that's what led to the Revolutionary War. And I've done shows about this, and I've had Brett Pike come on and talk about it. Yeah, the Tea Party was part of that revolution, but the main catalyst was this asshole tried to take away our guns. And what political party has done more than any other party to try to strip us of our firearms rights? Hint, hint, it starts with a D. I just see the Democrat Party as being just a continuation. The Bank of London, the Federal Reserve System of the King of England, and the Rothschilds and the Rockefeller families, these billionaire families, they want us disarmed and stupid, and that's what public schools are for, to create good little robots. So what I recommend you do is homeschool, homestead, and form parallel systems like with Team MPE, where we have an opportunity to make positive change, and we help one another, and we love one another. We grow our own food, we collect our own rainwater, we prep, and we make sure to look out for each other. And guys like Brandon and Sinful Toaster And Chevy, you guys rock, man. And Brandon, look, I don't like the Republicans much more, but at least so far, the Second Amendment justices that have been put into power have been very helpful to me and Alan Beck in our fight for concealed carry and stuff like that. So I'll take what I can get. But I'm a libertarian, but I definitely would never support a communist pedocrat. Absolutely not. That whole drag queen story hour thing and putting tampon machines in the boys' restroom, that sealed their fate. I'm a recovering Democrat, obviously as being a more liberal-minded guy. I always supported the hippie wing of the Democrat Party, but the Democrat Party is now the party of war, the party of minor attracted person, the party of sexual confusion. I'm done with that shit, brother. But anyways, yeah, Alan Beck is the man. So guys, I'm gonna go train. God bless all you guys, and I agree with you about Thomas Massey, Benjai, absolutely. And I would love to see the property tax go away too, Sinful Toaster. What a joke that is. You don't even own your property. What the hell is that all about? That's anti-American. So anyways, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Rusty Shackleford. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. God bless all you guys. Semper Fi, do